Welcome back. While it's holding on by about percent in terms of the frontline indices and the Nifty Bank holding up with about 1.5%, though off the highs of the morning that we saw, we have the mid-cap index. While the index itself is at the flat line, a whole host of stocks, they're buzzing around, and the advance decline ratio is actually in favor of advances. So more stocks are gaining than declining. So what are these stocks which are gaining? Well, from the broader markets, we have Siemens, which has suddenly moved higher, spiked to the high point of trade, has been an underperformer over the last 6 months or so, along with the space itself. But there's a big move that we're seeing on that counter. Apart from that, we have Adani Enterprises as well, which has moved higher. And remember, the stock was higher by almost 4% on Thursday as well. So a near 6.5% gain coming by in just the two trading sessions. Alongside that, Tata, TCS is something that we've been talking about from the frontline space. But Tata Elxsi, that's the stock which has moved higher in the broader markets. There you have TCS, but the broader market stock is Tata Elxsi, which is higher by almost 4.5% odd as well. So a broad swathe of stocks which are doing well in the mid-cap space, even as the index is absolutely flat. But talking about these stocks itself and the markets, let's get in Prakash Gaba for his trading picks and what he thinks as far as the market is concerned. Prakash, the Nifty, how after having rallied around 750 odd points from the lows that we saw earlier in the previous week, if you could tell us, 11,500, 550, there is a bit of resistance, right? What's your view on the index itself and individual stocks?
Well, good afternoon. The actual big resistance is at 11,661. That's a very, very strong resistance. And before that, perhaps 11,600, that being a round figure. So I think what we have seen is the resistance out there for today is good enough. Now, assuming tomorrow also it decides to go up, we're likely to find resistance around 11,661. That's very stiff resistance. So how it's going to behave here, it's difficult to say. But for the time being, I would say that the crucial support to watch would be perhaps 11,475. If that goes, then perhaps some kind of sideways action is not ruled out. So far, it looks good to me. For the last 5 or 7 trading sessions, we have seen massive 3 gaps. Now, I don't like these kind of gaps. Gaps are good, sign of strength, but it's too much to ask for. Anyway, we need to be stock specific. I like PI Industries, that looks good to me. And PI Industries possibly can climb up to levels closer to 2,100 zones. Stop below 2020 should be okay. And I like Tata Elxsi. Good old Tata Elxsi looks like it's climbing up to levels closer to 1360 and beyond. Stop below 1310.
I remember you giving a call on Oro Pharma a handful of days ago, and you said that maybe the target could be around 840 on that. The stock's rallied a bit from 800 to around 827 now. Do you think the target of 840 is still valid on that stock?
Yes, it's still valid. In fact, it was also my call today on the sister channel. Target of 840 still is valid to me, and possibly even 850 is there. That would be the next target. So Oro Pharma is a defensive bet, looks good to me. What I like about Oro Pharma is a good chart pattern on Wednesday and Thursday. That is suggestive that there is an upside and maybe more.
Thanks, Prakash, for that. Let's move on and get you a CNBC TV18 exclusive. We learned from sources that the idea of a dispute resolution authority for the GST Council was rejected long back. Timsi Jaipuria joins in with the details.
Well, that's right. What government sources are indicating that the GST Council has decided to extend the cess window from the current 5-year tenure. Now, this is very clear that the Council has taken a unanimous decision, and this decision being that till the time the borrowing amount and principal and interest of the borrowing is repaid, the cess will continue. Now, this will be a review that will be taken up time to time to assess how much is the borrowing pending in terms of the interest and principal. Apart from this, the Council is currently discussing the crucial issue of what should be the preferred option to deal with the borrowing, whether the centre should borrow or the states should borrow. When it comes to the states borrowing, which should be the option 1 or option 2. Right now, the discussions are going on for that particular agenda item. And Chhattisgarh is one of the only states till now who has got a chance to speak, and Chhattisgarh has said that they would want a parliamentary discussion on it. On this particular issue, they do not want that states should be borrowing the funds to make good for the shortcoming in the compensation cess kitty. So let's see how soon the council decides as to who will borrow and what should be the preferred option, because the agenda item clearly says that the centre is ready to extend the borrowing limit under the option 1, which is the most preferred option by 21 states, from 97,000 to 1.10 lakh crore rupees. So let's see what happens finally, but as of now, only one decision so far in the council, that is to extend the cess window to repay the borrowing amount and the interest. Back to you.
Thanks, Timsi, for that. Do we have the early rates coming in from the European markets? Asian markets were actually quite strong, with a gain of about 1.5% coming in for Hang Seng as well as Korean markets. Okay, I guess not yet, so we'll await that. But of course, the big, the big thing to track globally will be updates on US President Donald Trump's health. But here is something that you, our viewers, must take note of. Remember, CNBC TV 18 and the National Stock Exchange have come together to promote investor awareness through a special campaign called Informed Investor. We're trying to empower you to make the right decision with your money. So just similar to the fact that, when you go for a long drive, you always make sure that your vehicle is in a very good condition. You do your checks and balances well before you go for that long ride. Similarly, you need to check the power of attorney periodically to make sure your investments are secure. So what exactly is a power of attorney? You're giving someone the ability to make decisions for you. So in case your power of attorney is your broker, it will give him the legal authority to make share purchase decisions on behalf of you. He will have access to your demat account. So if there are any discrepancies in your demat account due to the actions of your broker, it could result in you being exposed to unnecessary risk. So you have to keep checking your demat account periodically to check if the shares or mutual fund units purchased by you have been credited or not by your broker. And if you find any mismatch, make sure you bring it to your broker, who is your power of attorney, notice, and get your financials in order. It's very important to keep checking your statements to understand whether you're not being taken for a ride by your power of attorney. So this is one important nugget to make sure that your financials remain safe. So on that note, we will slip into a very short break. We'll come back with more on the markets, and we'll get in the early rates from the European markets as well.